Welcome to my channel. So today I want to talk about the church and society, and I want to highlight more or dwell on one specific courageous pastor who was called John Gatu. John Gatu was the head of the PCEA church, and he wrote a book, his autobiography. Here's the cover page, Fan into the Flame. John Gatu was the head of the PCEA in the days of Jomo Kenyatta and even Moi, and I'm reading his autobiography. So let nobody complain that I'm creating anything. This is just from his own words about his times. So why am I saying he was courageous? Because he told Jomo Kenyatta point blank that the oath which was being given to the Kikuyus and Gema was bad. It was demonic, and it will isolate the community from the rest of the country. These are his exact words, which I'm reading. So on page 189 of his book, they were summoned, I think 1969, they were summoned to State House, to Gatundu, which was Kenyatta's home. And in that meeting, they were told to take oaths. So this John Gatu and even another reverend called Crispus Kiong was a moderator of the PCEA. They were called to go to Gatundu, and that time they were told to take an oath. And this oath, they were being told that it will show that they are loyal to the president. So the other things which I'll not say here, but I'd like to urge you to buy this book. It shows a lot about the history of our country. So when they were told to take the oath, John Gatu and the other clerics refused. And they told the president, in fact, they were stunned and they were lost for words. So this is page 189. So they were shocked and they were lost for words, and they informed the president that they required time to think over and pray about such a serious matter. So they left. So later they invited other bishops like Obadiah Karaoke of the Anglican Church, Reverend Charles Kaleri, and they met, even the Catholic leaders, they met and they discussed this thing. And the church decided that they will not take this oath. In fact, they will tell their congregants not to take this oath. So they discovered that there were some people who were being forced to take the oath, like the Anglican Church and others. So in general, people are being forced to take oaths. Even John Gatu's wife, Rahabu, they were forced to take the oath. So he says that on page 191, that when John Gatu was going to Beirut, Lebanon, his wife Rahabu and children escorted him to the airport. On their way back, they were stopped, and then they were forced to take the oath. So the wife and the children were stopped, and they were forced to take the oath. So we find that when he came back, he decided to go and visit the Mbiu Koinange, who was the Minister for Internal Security and the President's confidant, and he protested in the strongest terms. But it seems like Mbiu didn't take the matter seriously. So many people are being forced to take the oath. Even his own wife was forced. So after this, later is when now Tom Mboya was killed. So this is 1969. Those oaths were being taken initially so as to bind loyalty of the Gema to the president for the forthcoming elections in 69. But the same year, Tom Mboya was assassinated, and unfortunately the assassin was a Kikuyu, Nation Jenga. This matter also heightened seriously the oath. It made the oath to become more serious. But many people in Gema are now being forced to take the oath so much, because in this funeral of Tom Mboya, there was so much animosity to Jomo Kenyatta. So on page 194, Gatu writes that at the Holy Family Basilica, where there was a requiem mass for Tom Mboya, a woman threw her shoe at Kenyatta, and in addition, the president's car was stoned. So I think this was maybe in Kisumu. So many things happened that heightened tension between the two tribes, and as a result, oathing was actually more increased, much more increased. So at this time, these church leaders, John Gatu and Obadiah Karaoke and others, they decided to write a letter to the president on 22nd July 1969 officially to express their displeasure with that oath. They wrote a letter to Jomo Kenyatta, and then later they also went to Gatundu again, and they met the president and they warned him that this oath is dangerous and it will bring division in the country. Even in parliament, there was a debate about this oath by MPs. So this page 205. So when these clerics and others went to meet the president, they went to Gatundu, they even went to Mombasa State House. So at the same time, there was a motion in parliament, a substantive motion on the oathing being debated in parliament, where an MP, Honorable Okello Odongo, claimed that the situation had become so serious that church leaders, including the Anglican Bishop Obadiah Karaoke of Mount Kenya Diocese and Catholic Bishop Caesar Mary Gatimo of Nyeri Diocese, they traveled to Gatundu to express their disquiet about the nature of the oath being taken. So, Honorable Odongo said that the country wanted to know why the oathing had become necessary when Kenya had already achieved its independence, and against who was the oath being directed. So, unfortunately, no satisfactory answers were given to these questions. So, people are being forced, and these church leaders actually were protesting against the oath. And then later, also in September 1969, these same clerics, they wrote a letter again to the PC of Central Province, who was the one who was administering the oath, to tell him about the dangers of the oath and to stop forcing Christians to take the oath. So these clerics, they were very bold. They were very bold. And even later, 15 September, the PCA now, headed by this John Gatu, also wrote another letter to the president, again, about this oath, and to warn their congregants also to not partake in this oath. So they were very bold. So that this is now John Gatu meeting the president in those days. So this shows that the clerics of those days were bold. 1970s, they were very much bold. They could tell the president point blank to his face that this is not good. And the president listened to them. Jomo Kenyatta was tough, but imagine he was able to listen to these clerics. Later, when Moi was in power, again, this John Gatu was again the senior PCA leader, and he was used to be called by Moi. He wrote in his book, Moi could call him for prayers and even for counseling. We even had in the 80s, guys like Henry Okulu, Manasseh Kuria, and others, Ndingi Mwana Nzeki, and even this Gatu. They are the ones who used to advise Moi. Like even things like allowing multipartyism. People like John Gatu are the ones who advised Moi that it was time to do so. So the question is, nowadays, the clerics that we have today, are they as bold as the likes of John Gatu, the likes of Ndingi Mwana Nzeki, the likes of Alexander Muge? Because nowadays you find that church leaders, they're just voicing the same propaganda voice of the Kenya Kwanza. They are so much biased, they are so much timid. So assume that such things like oathing were to happen today. Will a church leader tell the president to his face that this thing is wrong? Or like now the issue of corruption. those church leaders who are near the president, Ruto, are they even telling him about corruption? Are they warning him about corruption? etc. So I wish that today's church leaders can emulate the likes of John Gatu. So John Gatu's successor was Njoya. So Njoya inherited John Gatu's boldness. But unfortunately today, we don't have such kind of church leaders who are courageous. So my respect goes to John Gatu and that generation. And I wish our country has such people like those. So that's my video for today about Kenyan history. And I hope you have learned something. I'd like to see your comment in the comment section. As we embark on Easter, I wish you guys safe journey. Celebrate carefully. And may God preserve our country. Thank you very much.